I'm Dolly Basta, and welcome back once again to Dolly's World. The holidays are a very strange time. There's always nostalgia and sadness sometimes, happiness, all the emotions you can think of. And I sometimes think that when I'm buying things for other people, that there is just a little bit of selfishness in it. But today, I am bringing you to a wonderful place. It's called 10,000 Villages, where, when things you buy, the money is given back to countries, third world countries, that really need it to survive. And with me is the manager of 10,000 Villages here in Princeton, New Jersey, Rowena Gross. Rowena, it's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yeah. Listen, I have had such a blast here. I really have, because I've been poking and prying and doing all wonderful things. But tell me, what and how did 10,000 Villages begin?
Well, we started over 50 years ago, and it started very small. It was a woman, Edna Ruth Byler, whose husband was working in Puerto Rico. And while she was there, she saw beautiful embroidery work in a group, and she brought some back home, showed it to her friends, sold it to her friends, and then the next time she went, she took some orders and brought more, and it became what was known as the Needlepoint Project, and was filling up her basement. And finally, I think it was in the 70s, she just felt overwhelmed by wherever she was traveling, she was bringing stuff back to sell, and it just got to be too much. So she asked MCC, which is Mennonite Central Committee. She was a Mennonite, and MCC is the service arm of the Mennonite Church, to take over the project, and they started to open up stores called Self-Help Craft. What has now grown out of this woman's needlepoint in the basement is 10,000 Villages. About 6 years ago, they changed the name and started opening up retail stores. Right now, there's 150 stores throughout the U.S. and Canada.
But they're nonprofit.
They are nonprofit. The whole organization, the 150 may not all be, there's 150 who buy from 10,000 Villages. And most of the stores are started by a local group of churches or organizations. And the 10,000 Village as a whole operates as a nonprofit. And our whole mission is to sell as much as we can to provide income and jobs to people in developing countries.
Now, how does that work? Does part of the money go back, or is what you pay them, is that
right.
the money that they're living
everything
off?
We operate as a business in the sense that everything that you see in the store has been paid for. But it's sort of how we do business with them that really makes us different. First of all, we work with artisan groups who have no way to bring their product to market. Their local economy, they make beautiful things, but there's nowhere locally to sell them.
Right.
But there also tend to be people who, even within their own economies, are disadvantaged, whether it's due to unmarried women with children, or history of disease, or whatever, people, or caste systems, that even locally they're disadvantaged. We're often originally connected with the group through an MCC service volunteer. But then what we do is we work with them, because we want them to eventually be selling to lots of places, not just to us. And the way we help an upstarting group, a couple different things. One is, every time we place an order, we pay 50% up front. So that means they don't need to borrow money to buy materials, they don't need to borrow money to eat off of while they're working. They know the work's going to be paid for. So we pay the original 50% up front. As soon as the stuff is ready to ship and leave the country, we then promptly pay the other 50%. So what happens there is then it's delays in shipping, which tariffs, customs, breakage, all of that comes out of 10,000 Villages pockets, just because we have deeper pockets.
So then there have to be 10,000 articles in the store?
Well, there's actually 2,000 different products in our store right now. Everything from toys to linens to musical instruments to, we also sell world music, home interiors of all different sorts of stuff that you might use.
Oh, you could spend hours in here.
Oh, yeah.
And by the way, one of the things I do have to remind people when they see us sitting like this, and if they've just kind of tuned in and missed the opening, is that this is not the Home Shopping Network. Although I would like it to be because I would buy everything, but it is not. We're talking here about charitable work, really. Now, most of your staff.
Well, it's charitable work. I'm going to interrupt you there, but it is beautiful products. There's no.
Oh,
That's
of
what
course.
makes us so successful. Many of our customers, to be honest, couldn't care less. I mean, most of them do, but people come in because we have good prices and beautiful stuff.
But you know, it's nice to know, as I said in the opening, it is nice to
Yes.
know that when you're buying, you're giving something that's a beautiful product. It's handmade,
Right.
which to me is the epitome of getting a gift. And it is still helping someone else survive.
The gift that gives twice is
Yes.
what we like to say.
Well, in our case today, it's almost triple. So let's look at some of these, though,
Sure.
articles and talk about them. Where do you want to start?
We can start with
Pick a thing. Pick a
these.
thing.
This is one of my favorites. They're called Snuggle Bunnies. And they're from Guatemala, and they're filled with rice. And what you do is you put it in your microwave and heat it up, and it makes a little heating pad.
Oh, I have several, but they are not quite animals. You know,
Right.
they're square and that, but that's adorable.
It comes from a fabulous group. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I think it's Upavim. It's in Guatemala. And they're a nonprofit organization, and one of the things, they train the women how to sew, if they don't already know. And to become a member of the cooperative, you have to volunteer first. I think it's for 30 hours. And so it's not only every step along the way. We have volunteers working in our store. I guess I hadn't mentioned that yet. They have to volunteer their time. It's communities working together and ending up with these beautiful products. And they are hungry for the work. There are people we work with who made more money begging than they did, because in some countries begging is sort of considered a job. But they're so happy to have a chance to have a job and to work that's why they're doing it. This angel is also from them too.
Well, it keeps their
Called-
integrity into
Right.
themselves, which is, I think, very important for anyone.
What's nice about these Angels of Hopes is they're also each signed by the woman who made it as a way of sort of empowering the woman that this is, something it's not a factory worker somewhere.
And well, these articles too are not necessarily quote Christmas articles. They're year-round
Oh, yeah.
for everyone.
That is true.
Okay. Onward.
I know this is one of your favorites, so we have to go into this.
I love that.
This
Well,
is
I love
from
anything with animals. on
Peru. It's some
It looks
whimsical
Peruvian. Yeah.
animals, and it's actually also a whistle.
Oh, that's hysterical. That is really funny. I mean,
Cheryl, do you want to grab me the musicians? They also make one with traditional Peruvian musicians and instruments. This one's a little more playful.
well, it's cute. And if you love animals, why? You sometimes dig that. How about that?
This is from Cameroon. This is an instrument. I was
Need
just
one.
blanked on the name of it.
Well, it's a gourd.
It's a gourd. It's all made from natural materials that they have. And that's about all I can tell you about this right now. It is made from a
well,
gourd.
it's a percussion.
Right.
They use it in their bands. I have another one over here that I love, and that's your warbler.
These are also from Cameroon. It's called a water whistle. And you pour water into the top, and I think the water got absorbed there, but you can hear that warble. The more water, the more it warbles.
I probably just blasted Pete's ears over there.
We'll try that later with a little bit more water. It has a little bit more warble. If you like the birds, this is a hummingbird from Ecuador. And what's neat about this, can you guess what this is made out of?
Let's see. Shell of some kind? No.
What is it?
Bone?
It resembles bone. It resembles ivory a lot. It's actually called vegetable ivory.
Really?
Yeah, it's from a nut. It's a carved nut. It's called a tagua nut.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
I'm actually not trying to pronounce it. It's Tagua. And it's wonderful for a few reasons. First of all, it's beautiful. It's also very similar to ivory and doesn't involve, the killing of elephants or
Right.
walruses. And it's also a renewable resource for the rainforest, so that they're able to. It's a nut that falls off of a tree that will continue to fall no matter. You can use lots of them, and you don't have to lose the rainforest. It's a way of bringing money into that area.
I read somewhere too in the literature that all of the objects and the crafts that are made cannot endanger anything that is particularly grown in that particular land.
Yep, that is part of fair trade, is that not only do we pay a fair wage, but we pay enough to have environmentally sound practices. We work with the groups. There was groups we worked with in Kenya that did wood carving and had done traditional wood carving from generations back. And we're working with them to come up with a different kind of wood that grows quicker and isn't as damaging to the environment as the traditional woods that they were working with. So yeah, it's definitely taken into consideration.
Okay. What about drums? I know, let's see if I can reach this. Let's see, this one is from, let me see if I can figure it out. No, I can't. India.
India. Everything in the store we label what country it's made in.
India. No.
You can actually make 3 different sounds on it.
There.
And
That's
it's,
the one I liked.
when they're played, I can't do it, but when they're played, they have very fast movement with their hands, and they're playing. It's almost like playing a keyboard with these 3 different notes.
Right.
Which, that's bad.
Yes. I'm not a
Well, beyond
musician
me.
either. I'm really not. But you have an extensive supply of all kinds of fascinating drums. And then,
Oh, wait, I was going to just move on to a different.
Go ahead.
It's an instrument, although was traditionally used in part of praying in Buddhist prayer. It's a singing bowl, which, have you heard one of these? I don't know how well this is going to come across.
oh, sounds like a choir.
Yeah, it's the same concept of when you put your water over wine glasses.
Right. Except that with the wine glass, there's a little more coming in.
That's from Nepal.
Also, you have a lot of basketry, which is another thing that I love, because I love the woven.
Yes, this
If
is
you
a
can
case
reach
of
it
grass
there.
basket. This is from.
What kind of grass?
I'm not sure to pronounce it. Kaisa. And it's
Casa?
from Bangladesh. And
It's beautiful
we actually
work.
have it in all different shapes and sizes.
Oh, you do. You have, oh, God, so many little things. But it's so tightly woven. The workmanship is so exquisite.
Yeah, it's, people want to work. People are looking for a chance to take a job and take pride in their work. One of the things about fair trade that makes for quality workmanship is, traditionally with trade, let's say someone made a basket. They'd make the basket and then walk to market and try and sell it. And at this point, they spent the money on the materials. They haven't had, while the time it took to make it, they haven't had money coming in. So then they're ready to sell it. And if someone comes along and starts to bargain them down the price, at some point they have to sell. They need to get money in to, into their family.
Right.
So there's really no point in buying expensive materials or really putting a high quality workmanship in, because the bottom line is they're going to be at the mercy. They're going to have to. They might as well make a cheap basket, sell it quickly, move on. With fair trade, they know they're getting a fair price. They know we're paying for a quality object, and they can put the sort of heart and effort and use quality materials because they know it's going to be sold.
Yeah, it just occurred to me that you were telling me a wonderful story about this little girl, and I'll put it in front of my face, Dave, because no one's missing anything.
I apologize, I don't remember her name right now. She is from Bangladesh, and she was married with a young child, and her husband left her. And she had no way to get food, find a place to live. So she went to her family, and they said, "Oh, no, you've disgraced us. We're not going to help you," and they kicked her out. She then went to her husband's family, and they said, "Oh, no, you're not worthy of our, you weren't worthy of our son. We're not going to help you." so she went to begging, and begging on the street. And at one point, she saw this woman walking by who was better dressed. Was wearing like a clean clothes, which is sort of, she hadn't seen her before, and she was dressing a little bit better. So she asked her, because this, well, what are you doing that you're getting these clean, nice clothes? The woman says, oh, I got this great job making baskets. Why don't you come with me? And she said, no, they'll never hire me. She said, no, just come, And she was like, oh, okay, I'll come. I don't, I've never had a job. I don't know what's going to happen. So she goes, the woman goes to work, and she goes into a strange room and sits behind a desk with this other woman who asked her 3 questions. The first question was, do you know how to read or write? And she said no. And then the second question was, have you ever held a job that you were paid for? She said no. And the third question was, if things are really rough, do you have somewhere you can go to get help? And, that was an easy one. No, she tried. The woman got up, gave her a hug, and said, great, you're hired. And this is who they were looking to hire, and this is, who our artisans are. And she was trained how to make baskets, and now has a place to live, has, more clothing, like a second set of clothing, which is often a big deal.
It's so strange to hear a story like that, because, again, we have so much.
Right.
And we don't think anything of the 4 million things that we buy.
Right.
That there are other people in this world. I find it so difficult to believe that there are others who just, to have a single thing is a great, great blessing.
Right. That's one of our missions, is to tell the stories. Our mission is to sell their products and tell their stories. Because it's very easy to forget, and which is why this is such a great, it's just a fabulous idea, because people come in here, again, because of all this beautiful product. And you get education, and you get to walk out of here with something nice.
That's worthwhile. Okay, back to our arts here. The blue and white.
This is
ceramic.
one small piece of a whole collection of blue and white ceramic pieces that you should probably get a chance to look at. This is from Vietnam. It's dishwasher safe, oven safe, microwave safe.
Really?
This group is actually, I think, the only group that is so well established now that we don't give them the 50% up front. They've said, you know what, we're okay, we're doing good, just pay us for the product when it comes up. We don't need the early. Mm-hmm. So that's great. That's what we want.
Well, that's what you strive for,
right.
Isn't
exactly.
it? Yeah. But what is it?
It's like a pasta canister.
Oh, good old pasta.
But we have, mugs and teapots and plates and platters.
Well, it's such a beautiful pattern, and it's so very popular, blue and white.
It is. We often have it up by the window, and people keep coming in. People keep buying blue and white.
I noticed too, you have a number of children's things. This is not just for adults in here.
Nope.
You have a number like this.
This is actually kind of neat, this alligator.
Yeah, I've been kind of playing with it.
We have, what we're sitting at here, it's hard to tell with some of the stuff here, but this is our play table. Because kids come into the store, parents want to shop, we encourage kids to sit down and try out the toys. One of the things that's this alligator, you can,
let me get this off.
First of all, it stands up, which I think is kind of cool.
Whoops.
That's okay. And as you can now see on the back, it has numbers on one side and letters on the other. This is from Sri Lanka. All our toys, by the way, are tested for lead-free paint. Anything that's going to be a toy or is going to be used on food is tested for, food safe, kid safe. You can put it in your mouth, that kind of thing. This just blows my mind about the group that makes these puzzles, because they also make magnets, which I'll have to remember to show you later. They make the magnets. They're sort of a leftover part of the puzzle. They literally use the sawdust from carving out puzzles like this, or like these guys. The sawdust from the puzzle making is then mixed with a little bit of glue, put into molds, and they make magnets out of. And just can you imagine someone in this country collecting their sawdust?
Hold this up so you can hold it like that. I think Dave can get it.
Oh, yeah, great. Here are some magnets.
Ah, a volunteer.
Here comes, actually, one of the our paid staff.
Oh, yeah.
And they feel, it's kind of, they're very lightweight because it's just sawdust and glue that are made. And again, just the concept of saving your sawdust and making another product out of it really shows you
It's unbelievable.
It's a different world.
Whoops. Don't hand anything light to me. It'll end up in a pile of sawdust.
That's another thing about using the materials at hand. This is one of our holiday items. It's a nativity.
Oh, that is beautiful. Look at the intricacy of the work on this.
Now,
I mean, you can't appreciate it really unless you really look closely at it.
And do you know what you can tell what it's made out of, the outside.
It's an egg.
It's an actual eggshell. And this woman who got the idea, she got the idea while she was cooking. And she, this is a resource. This is look, it's a free material. It's an eggshell. And she literally goes to the bakery first thing in the morning in her local bakery, in her village, and breaks all their eggs for the day so that she can have them. She uses her fingernail so they're in just the right shape so she can use them for her products that she makes. They are, I believe, from Chile. Nope, sorry, Peru.
Peru. You said like that old saying, don't put all your eggs in one basket, but she does. We never finished, I think, on the subject of volunteerism.
Okay.
Because this organization is really based pretty much on volunteerism. And how do you get them? I mean...
Well, let me back up just a little bit because I just read this yesterday, which is that the International Federation of Alternative Trade, which oversees fair trade in Asia, Europe, Australia, North America, came out with this report that in 60% of people employed within are volunteer. I mean, they use the word employed. 60% of them are volunteers. Our store has sort of 3 full-time employees, the equivalent of 3 full-time employees, and about 30 volunteers. At any given time, it varies. Our volunteers do everything it takes to run the store. So everything from unpacking boxes, setting up displays, ringing up customers, telling the stories, talking to customers about the products.
What do they get out of it?
Well,
for
first
all
of all,
those hours?
They get to be surrounded by beautiful stuff. I mean, there's beautiful things, there's, good music, and it really doesn't feel like a retail store in some ways. I have had friends who've worked in retail. This is a nice place to be. It's fun. It's, we encourage people to pick up the instruments.
Informal. It's informal. It's a nice
and more than informal.
feeling.
I think it's a positive. It's a positive. You can feel the goodness. I think. I mean, that's maybe a little.
That's
cheesy,
all right.
but
No, and it's not idealistic either. It's realist.
It feels it's a nice place to be. We have teenage kids who do community service for their high school that come in and do it. We have older retired people who come in. We have actually one of our newest employees started as a volunteer when her kids all went off to college, and she had a little more time at home, and she started coming and she also mothers, I think, all of us.
Well, that's kind of nice. But if someone out in the audience wanted to volunteer, what do they do?
We have a volunteer application. We don't take new volunteers between November and December just because we do get busy in here and we don't have time to train people. But we're always looking for volunteers. All we ask for is a minimum of 8-hour a month commitment. Most people come in maybe once a week or every other week. You have to be, if not 16 years old, at least a mature younger than that. We do have younger kids with maturity levels. You don't have to be able to lift heavy boxes. We will find something for you to do. And we're always looking for volunteers.
Before we forget, you had the most beautiful tablecloth. Where is it?
It's right down here.
Oh,
this, I have to admit, is one of my favorite things in the entire store.
It is the most beautiful piece of handwork, of embroidery I have ever seen. It looks like machine.
No,
it really does. And you said there was a story behind this.
Well, there's stories behind everything.
I know.
This is one, especially because I've met 2 of the women who work for St. Mary's, which is in India. And what I think is one of the special things about them is the women who work with them include Christian, Muslim, and Hindu women in one of the most violent areas of strife in India. And there was, I think it was in 2002, there was sort of a big upswing of violence. And 6,000 families came to the outside of St. Mary's to come in and get shelter because considered a safe haven. It's a safe place. So, it's just by these women working together is just another sort of example of what we're doing. We actually have another group in India where the Muslim and Hindu women pray together. They started before working each day to having a sort of joint prayer and sharing each of their own ways of praying.
You know something? I honestly feel that if left up to the women of the world,
Yes.
we would not have the problems.
I often feel while the women are sewing together,
Yes.
the men are off,
Yes. Our time is just about running out. And you know something? I've never seen time go so fast. I say that every week when I do it, but I get so involved in the stories that go on. And once again, we're talking here from 10,000 Villages. It's in Princeton.
In the Princeton Shopping Center.
In the Princeton Shopping Center. And
Am I allowed to give a phone number?
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. What the hey?
609-683-4464. And you can also find information about the whole organization on the web as well.
Good. Listen, thanks so much
Thank
for
you.
joining me, Ro. It's been fun. And now while the rest of the crew keeps taping crafts, I can go by what I have always liked to do. Okay, to all of you out there, thank you for watching the show all year. It's been a pleasure having you. I hope you have enjoyed our choices. If you have any ideas of your own, send them into the studio. Who knows? One of them I might use. But I send out my blessings to everyone in this holiday season. And I'll see you all with a great new show in January. So